Here's something I know about you. You are not short on information and you know a lot. Yet, you're still not feeling the way you want to. This is not a you problem, that's a foundation problem. And here's the reality there has never been a clear roadmap for this chapter until now. I built the well drop because I was tired of piecing it together too. I was tired of information that doesn't connect the dots, protocols that were never built for this body at this stage in this season of life. So I built the roadmap. Every Sunday, one drop lands in your inbox, one habit, one clear upgrade just for where you are right now. No noise, no overwhelm, just what actually moves the needle. You don't need more information. You need to build a wellness lifestyle for midlife. That's it. Subscribe at thewelldrop.com or click the link in the show notes right now before this becomes something you want to do, but you forget. I'll see you inside. Welcome back to The Well Drop with me, your host, Amber Berger. What if the key to aging better was already inside you? In today's episode, I'm joined by Michael Antonelli, the founder of HealthGevity, a science-first company turning breakthrough research into real-world wellness solutions using natural bioactives and peptides. With over 19 years of experience at the intersection of longevity science, hormone health, and advanced therapeutics, Michael has helped reshape how we think about aging well. His career spans leadership roles in top healthcare companies, from chief innovation officer to business development lead, always with one goal: to extend health span, not just lifespan. Michael has worked alongside top physicians and researchers to develop clinically validated, personalized protocols that improve patients' outcomes and help people take control of their health. We are so aligned in this mission, which is exactly why he's here today. HealthGevity isn't just another supplement brand. They're pioneering a new model of preventative, precision-driven care, one that empowers you to thrive through every stage of life. So if you've ever wondered how to feel stronger, sharper, and more resilient with each passing year, this conversation will shift your mindset and your biology. So let's dive in. Michael, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. I've been really looking forward to this to connect with your community and have a lot of fun together. So let's tackle a lot of great topics and nothing's off the table.
Love it. So I'm very focused on female wellness in midlife, and HealthGevity has really carved out a unique niche in the wellness space with its focus on longevity. So what inspired you to create this line, and how does this specifically cater to women in midlife?
Great place to start. And I think like a lot of us during COVID, we took this opportunity to do a lot of soul searching, thinking about what I want to do in my life. Do I want to relocate? Just maximizing every day. We have the privilege of waking up alive. And that's where I started seeing medicine fail us, and looking at a lot of the emerging research about why certain demographics were doing better with COVID versus others, the role of metabolic health, and then add to that through a lot of longevity researchers, we started seeing and reading about this connection of aging and chronic disease, but yet no one's really talking about it.
No.
No one was really saying, what does health span really mean? At that point, a lot of people were just talking about lifespan,
Yeah.
this crusade to live to
Live
150
to
years old.
120. Like,
Yeah,
no one's thinking about, how am I living to 120? Like, what's that look like?
that's exactly where it was like that light bulb moment where I said, well, why aren't any healthcare practitioner brands talking about the hallmarks of aging? There's so many things we could be doing. There's so much innovation globally that were transpiring during this time. I felt like, in talking with doctors that I've known for a long time and trusted, that the time was now to really disrupt what was happening, kind of change the model. Because at that point during COVID, a lot of the practitioner brands stopped innovating and focused more on the Amazon Prime model,
Yeah.
and left a lot of the practitioners in the dark. So I said, let's start making this more of a routine conversation between that practitioner patient or practitioner client, and discuss about the role of aging, and then identifying what are the bioactives, what are the blends, how do we cast a wide net in the body to modulate multiple pathways to get to the root cause of the dysfunction. And so a lot of our practitioners, they're doing a lot of deep assessment, from blood chemistry, where you go to your first appointment, you're getting 15, 20 vials of blood,
Yep.
but also specialty labs. You're really looking at this whole functional, integrative, regenerative medicine movement. Because I think at that point, people said, well, insurance is failing us, healthcare is failing us. I need to take my health into my own hands. And everyone had their own definition of what personalized prevention meant. And what I like to say is longevity and the formulas we're bringing to market and who we're partnering with and who we're collaborating with were weapons within your toolbox that you can count on at various points of your health journey. So whether it's this is day one and you just made your mind up that you're going to start moving more, eating better, maybe starting to take supplements for the first time, right? Or if you're a seasoned vet, right, and you've been doing this a long time, but you reached that plateau, we have different things within our arsenal that could provide support and assistance.
And I think that's an interesting point you make. Longevity, I say, is sort of going to be the term of 2025. So more and more people are going to hear it. What does longevity actually mean to you? Because I think the more outdated version would be sort of anti aging, but now things are more about longevity and regenerative medicine. And how is that different
I think
than
what you're going to
anti
start here,
aging?
yeah, you're going to start hearing this word health span more and more common. So it's not the journey of living to 120. It's the journey of maximizing every day we have the privilege and blessing to wake up alive. And when we start thinking about our life in the moment, day to day, we start seeing that even slight small changes can make a dramatic difference. Right now, we have things like the wearables, the Oura rings, and you can see, you can track when you had that cheat meal the night before, when maybe you had one or two social cocktails, and the impact it's had on your health. And so, with all of that, we're becoming more conscious, and we're developing a mindset that it's the day to day actions and decisions we make that is what's going to add up to health span optimization.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, for me, my mission is empowering women to own their wellness. And it really is through your everyday wellness lifestyle habits to do so. And then what I found, and we'll dive into your products specifically and why they're so unique, is that your products are sort of like the perfect layering on top of that to sort of like boost whatever those initiatives are that people are doing, but that people still need to create that sense of that foundation in the first place in order for it to even be effective. Because as Americans, our society, we are such pill poppers. I mean, it's just how it is. I'm not actually. I'm like extremely conservative with what I put in my body. And I think it's important to understand that there's so many supplements out there that they're not even bioavailable. Your body's not even absorbing it. So you don't even know if it's actually working and what's even happening. And I do want to talk about your Ignite product because I actually was testing my sugars and my ketones when I tried the product, and it was pretty insane what was happening. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
I like
it
that.
was really, really cool. So many women, I think the biggest thing for women in midlife is their metabolic shift. I think at first they might have brain fog or the sleep might get, disrupted. But for women, we don't really connect like, oh, wow, we're like entering into this perimenopause phase because we were never taught about it. And it's usually when the weight gain happens that sort of like the alarm bells go off. And people are like, oh my God, like what used to work isn't working. I'm turning 45. So I hear it with my clients. I hear it with my girlfriends that I've known forever. And sort of that is like the moment that people sort of have like this wake up call of like, oh, I got to like get it together. And so, can you tell us? I know that you have some products that are really specific to help support metabolism. And I think that that's like a game changer, obviously, in the world of like GLPs. Everyone thinks about that. But I think you have some really interesting products and the partnerships to talk about what is it that have you created and sort of what was the inspiration behind it, because you really are solving a specific problem for women in midlife, which I think is great.
Well, thanks for setting me up there. Why I started this company was to help as many people as possible achieve and maintain their health goals. And as we touched on earlier, right, what we were doing wasn't working for enough people. So I took a step back and identified companies that we could collaborate all over the world to tackle the issues that so many of us are faced with. You were talking about weight loss resistance. Think about how many listening right now don't wake up refreshed, crash in the afternoon, brain fog settling in, muscle loss. There's this web. We haven't even talked about leaky gut yet and gut dysfunction. There's this protocol, this stack that we could absolutely get into that I think can help reset, reignite uh, our bodies to thrive naturally. And you're seeing some people want that. I don't want to say the cheat with the GLP-1 because it comes with a commitment, but it comes with some side effects. That's why we feel natural is should be the first line of therapy for anybody that is committed to make a change, has committed that living like this is enough and they want to do something. That's kind of where we came in. And we aligned with researchers, frontline clinicians, and said, what are you doing that's making the biggest difference in your practice? What are ingredients or combinations you're researching that you feel can solve the root cause of the dysfunction? So, not really a band aid approach, not a quick fix, but fixing under the hood. And I think so much of us live in this instant gratification world where we're like,
Yeah.
well, I took this for a day. Why isn't it working? Rather than taking a step back and saying, I'm going to commit to this for the next X amount of days
Yeah.
and then reassess. And the doctors and practitioners that we align with, that's how they practice. They want to look at all these biomarkers, and say what could be contributing to you feeling the way you are, and then let's look at fixing it. And think about all of us, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or older, there's years of all these bad habits stacked together that we're trying to undo and fix. And so we just all have to be patient and focused and motivated. And that's why I love the networking community you're bringing, because it's collaboration with like-minded individuals that are on the same team.
I'm taking a quick moment to share something with you because the number one question I get asked is, where do I even start? Lucky for you, you don't have to figure that out because I already did the work for you and I've built it over the last 10 years. It's called the Well Drop Blueprint. No prep, no planning, just open your email every morning for 14 days and get one habit, one clear upgrade that tells you exactly what to do that day. That's it. Here's your permission slip. It's never too early and it's also never too late to start. The women doing this right now range from their early 30s to their 80s because building a solid wellness foundation works at every age. And the sooner you start, the faster you will feel the difference. The reality is, women are doing great things, but off a rocky foundation. The blueprint is your starting point. It's simple, it's clear, and delivered to your inbox. Go to thewelldrop.com right now or click the link in your show notes, open tomorrow's email. It's your starting point to building a wellness foundation that helps make everything else you do work better. Upgrade your wellness right now.
And I think it actually will help to set people free. I think that there are a lot of people who want to do the work, and even sometimes doing all the work, sometimes also just environmental, like the world is sort of against us a little bit and we kind of can't. You can control what's in your house, but outside of your house you have to live, and I always believe in 80/20. So you're going to be outside and there's so many toxins, so that's going to affect your body metabolically no matter what. And kind of this world, and I think your patented ingredients is so interesting that you've put into the product along with some of the peptides that are oral peptides. I think a lot of people don't even realize that that's even an option. Um, so I love to like get into like sort of how we can talk about, if you want to start with like the Ignite, like how did you formulate this? And that's what makes your product so unique. Like how did you come up with Ignite and like the ingredients in there?
It's a great formula to start with. And I think when we look at the therapeutic targets that we identified as focus, that will kind of then settle in why we selected the ingredients and dosed each ingredient the way we did. So, in connecting with a lot of practitioners and even consumers coming out of COVID, eight, maybe nine out of every 10 of us were metabolically sick. And that creates this whole domino effect, this slippery slope. And so, what we saw that was consistent with a lot of these individuals was glucose issues, right? Glucose disposal issues,
Yeah.
insulin issues, right? Insulin resistance is another big word. Then looking at certain things like AMPK, looking at other hormones like leptin, ghrelin, adiponectin levels, this whole gut brain hunger connection, looking at that sticky, tricky fat to lose the white fat and how do we beige that, the role of ketones, the role of our mitochondria. So all of this was targets. Then once we identified the targets, we looked at ingredients that currently were being used with high success, layered in with ingredients that were emerging and not readily available just yet. So a lot of our formulation approach is how do we cast a wide net in the body to modulate multiple pathways to personalize the journey? So with this formula, there's 7 trademarked ingredients, all with really impressive studies. But let's just say you personally, 5 or 6 work, but maybe 1 or 2 your body didn't really need. There's a backup plan built into the formula to help you still achieve why you set out to take the formula. And that's kind of our secret sauce. So when we think about right now the big craze with metabolic dysfunction, putting aside GLP-1s, you're going to hear and read a lot about berberine. Now, the problem with berberine is to get the levels that are in the research, many of us have the potential of having GI issues because berberine goes to the gut to convert into dihydroberberine. And so what we did was aligned with the researchers who have the patents around dihydroberberine. So we're skipping that step. We're removing the gut and its emphasis on the conversion and giving the body its ready form. And with that, it's 5 times more absorbed or bioavailable, and it's twice the half-life. So to me, that's a really important ingredient in this bigger blend. We also talk about this peptide craze and peptides. I feel
Yes.
like 5 years ago, nobody was talking about peptides. Now it's like
No one. I mean, the
everybody.
last 2 years, I'm very conservative, and I think until the oral peptides really came on the scene, I didn't pay much attention, just 'cause I'm not, like, a big IV person. I'm not against injections, but I felt that things were being misused and overused. And so the microdosing of the injections, I think, is really interesting. And I've seen some incredible results that help with like the metabolic dysfunction for women. But the oral peptides is a complete game changer, I think, for people to have access and get those benefits.
Absolutely. We saw this trend happening years ago. I mean, as of today's recording, we're one of the largest companies in the practitioner channel with the widest variety of oral peptides. So part of our niche is identifying peptides that are naturally occurring in nature all over the world with human studies to back it up and then bring it in here to the US at the dose it was studied at. So in this case with Ignite, you're seeing a really unique satiety peptide from a yeast fermentation. So the trademark is DNF10. Multiple human studies to confirm at 500 milligrams that we are delivering. Over 130 participants were in this landmark study, but by week 8, the average participant was consuming 600 less calories per day. And so when we think about if there's a way to get the food noise away, when we look at some of those areas where people fail, where they stop their program, it's because they can't quiet the hunger cues.
Yeah.
We
I was
felt like
saying
this
to
peptide was
somebody that actually, I was just saying it this morning at the gym. Someone was asking me about it. I was like, oh, I'm interviewing them today. And I was saying it does quiet the food noise. And it's an interesting thing that in midlife, your hunger signals kind of like change. You either, and especially because we're supposed to be weight training more. So maybe we're working harder in a different way. Our body's sort of craving more, that our hunger signals are kind of like changing. Sometimes you don't care. Sometimes you care too much. And I felt like it just sort of like leveled it out, that it enabled me to just like focus on like my main meals, but have like a very level headed mentality about it, to like choose wisely, be smart. And I wasn't like kind of reaching for any snacking or any like sweets like I normally would, because sometimes you can get in this vicious cycle. And true or false, like, is that sort of similar to like what happens on the GLP for the hunger noise, the
Oh, it just
DNF10?
paralyzes it, right? And that's where you're starting to see or hear about some of those potential uh, issues that people run into or
Just
the
too
unwanted
much.
effects. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like shutting the lights off in the room. You might get to the other side of the room, but during that process, you might hit into things. It's not as efficient as if you had some sort of light guidance. And that's where these sort of natural peptides and supportive casts like we have at Ignite is there to modulate, guide you, not shut off. And I think that's why some people have so much success, and success varies, right? We hear some people week 1 achieving tremendous impact. Some has to be a little bit longer, so you have to be patient. Blood sugar is so personalized, and the majority of lifestyle clinical studies usually last on average 12 weeks. So It's not one of those things where you just can't give up too soon. You've got to be patient. And with this formula, the more you take it, the better it's going to be. So if you're getting those immediate results, excellent, but keep going.
Yeah, I could say for me, my mission, I actually have like a 2-week challenge to get people to throw on a glucose monitor, track your ketones, because I think we're never, or I know we're not taught that. People just associate it with diabetes, but as women, our blood sugar, the way that our body handles it completely changes. And I know because I've been tracking it for a few years, the way I was last year to the way I was even 6 months after, completely different. Like my blood sugar just started going nuts. Like even today, I had like some sweet potato and I even had like fat and I did all the right things. It just spiked it. I'm not taking, it took only the Ignite. I'm on a pause of Ignite. I have to go back because I forgot to reorder more. But I will say that on the Ignite, no joke, within 2 days, my blood sugar completely, you're going to have normal rise and fall, but it wasn't the excessive over 30 points rise in blood sugar from once I started taking the Ignite. And then I would check my ketones. I was like doubling my ketones. It was crazy. Like I never got into like strong ketone burning mode. Like I would maybe be zero 0.5, zero 0.8 at the most. I was like 1.4. It was really shocking to me to see. And I think that that's exciting for someone to try it and do the tracking to see what it's actually doing to your body because everyone's body's so different. Like who knows? Like that was my experience, but that may or may not be someone else's. Like it
Yeah.
could be more, it could be less. I don't know.
Well, it's great that you were tracking. And I think it kind of goes deeper when we look at like our roots as hunter and gatherers, where, our ancestors didn't know when the next meal was going to come. So our bodies were trained to go into this store mode, where today we have so many options to eat and drink and sugar and all this processed foods where we're still storing, but we're constantly consuming. That's where we're developing fat in the places we don't want. What Ignites helping the body do is create a signal of burn that, don't store it. And so that's also the effects you're seeing with the level of tracking that you were doing personally.
Yeah, and I can say I just traveled a lot and like my biggest marker, I never knew what the term bloating really meant before, but last year I was traveling a lot and I was like, "Ooh, maybe I'm like bloated." It was from travel, but actually, it was from my hormones completely tanked. I realized it was actually my hormones. And I just came back from Japan and I had just finished my first bottle of Ignite, actually. And my friend was asking me, how was it? And I was like, I actually could tell my rings were loose and normal from traveling. Like, I'm definitely not bloated. And it made a difference. Can you go into, because it's so many products in one, which I think is so great. It hits it at all fronts. So you have the DNF10. What are the other 6 items? Because you really you check off everything that a woman kind of needs. It's
Yeah,
pretty
we
amazing.
maximize every capsule. We don't want any fillers in those caps. We want all active ingredients. So we talked about the dihydroberberine, the DNF10 satiety peptides. Another really unique ingredient that is emerging and not many people know about is the L-beta. L-beta, which you'll see as the mitoburn, it's an amino acid that's produced by L-valine. We only produce it during high intense workouts. So by taking it on its own, like we are in here, it's coined an exercise mimetic, meaning on days you work out, you'll get actually a better burning rate. But on days you don't work out, it's actually putting the body and somewhat tricking it into that it just did a high intense workout. So that's helping the burn versus store signaling.
Yep.
Really, really meaningful, especially as we age, as the hormones shift, stress, all the stuff that every day gives us. From there, bitter melon's another one that help with the glucose levels and blood sugar modulation. We have a really unique form of bitter melon at a very high dose at 500 milligrams. Then we start looking at other hormone modulation, things like the inosflam, the astragalus, pannexoginseng, and the adiponectin. So actoponin's in there. That's going to help with the AMPK. It's going to help the GLUT4 receptors. And again, the signaling of let's not overeat, let's burn it, not store it. And so that communication network we were hitting on earlier. The last piece is caloric burn. And grains of paradise, which is found in ginger and other spices, is a non-stimulating thermogenic. So that's going to help burn calories without the heat that some other ingredients that do that, where you're sweating, like red pepper, for example, give you. So again, looking at all those big areas that we're tackling, and the biggest thing with Ignite is time of day your body best needs it. So there's some that like to take, because it's a 3 capsule serving, 1 capsule before each major meal. Some like all 3 at once. There's some that at night, that's their problem time. So they could take it there, or the days there's going to be a cheat meal, you could take more before that meal too. So
Yeah, does it matter when you take it? Is there a best use of it?
there's no best because it's personalized. All of us, it's kind of like a great example, and we may talk about this later, is caffeine, right? So I could drink caffeine all day and not have any issues and then go right to bed at night. Where my wife drinks coffee past 10 a.m., she knows she's gonna be up all night. Blood sugar, caffeine, the way we're metabolizing things, it's so personalized. So when people ask us, like, what's the best protocol? It's not like, here's the blueprint. You got to experiment, biohack, and see how your body best responds on this.
And how would you guys discuss the bioavailability of the products? Because I know that that's a big important thing, and I'm really introducing people to pay attention to that because I think people are taking too many things where I really want to empower everyone to just stop for a second, take a minute and like research what you're actually taking because it may just be a waste. Like, how are you guys focused on ensuring bioavailability?
Yeah, so bioavailability is spelled, especially in the health practitioner world that we're serving, is a huge area. So we're always looking at ingredients that have low input, high reward. So how do we accomplish more with less? Everyone has pill fatigue. So we're looking at really unique forms. We're looking at absorption enhancers. We're looking at trademarked ingredients that are doing a lot of not only the research to show its utilization in the body, but more importantly, this doesn't get talked about, is standardization of the extracts. So when you go generic and not a trademark, you're giving not only the manufacturer, but the supplier a lot of leeway to source this from anywhere in the world, from run to run, production run, because it could be from anywhere. You're not claiming any activity or enough of activity. It's usually a generic ingredient. So this kind of raises the bar with consistent expectation. So when you reach for that longevity bottle, every time you reach for it, you should have a consistent experience.
And then talking about longevity, what is that? I know you created a longevity formula. What is in that and how does that affect somebody's longevity? Because I think people don't realize, like, oh, should I take something for longevity? I don't think they even know that that would be an option.
We have a lot of options that will hit on the longevity type of term. We have an actual product called longevity, and that was there to actually assist in that communication between the health provider and their client or patient about, in this case, the role of muscle and aging. It's one of the biggest biomarkers that's easy to overlook because we just all think like, oh, well, I'm naturally losing muscle as I age. Like I just give up.
Yeah.
Or you're working out and maybe you're not looking like you used to because our bodies are changing. So we wanted to help talk about the role of muscle mass. And I'm not saying we all have to bulk up and look like a bodybuilder, but healthy aging goes hand in hand with our skeletal muscle. So longevity, and what we call longevity, is a blend of anabolic peptides, other peptides that will assist with blood flow into the muscle, another ingredient that's going to focus on the gut muscle connection, and another ingredient that's going to hit on the senescent cell burden within the muscle, or the zombie cells, or cells that don't metabolically or they don't die off after they are metabolically inactive. They're called zombie cells or senescent cells. And so, again, looking at that muscle as one of the biggest areas to focus on,
Huge.
and goes hand in hand with Ignite when we were talking about that super stack, right? Let's get our metabolic control. Let's get our muscle back to, improving muscle protein synthesis, repair of our muscle in between workouts, or improving our actual workouts. There's so many incredible ingredients out there. What we wanted to do here was just kind of pack them all into a capsule uh, that have high bioavailability opportunities.
And it seems like so many of your ingredients are patented. Was that intentional? I assume it was intentional, but can you explain why that makes a difference versus a non patented ingredient in terms of possible effectiveness and so forth?
We want to partner with raw material companies that invest in research. So when you have that trademarked ingredient, you're usually investing in a trademark because you're investing in clinical studies to confirm potency, purity, identity, and what it's doing in the body. So, and what we get asked by a lot of our partners is mechanisms of action. How do we know what this is doing in the body? How do we know it's getting to where it's intended to provide a therapeutic outcome?
Yeah.
And so for us, we can't do it all. So it's creating those collaborations. the partnerships we have with the raw materials, the trademarks, the companies that are investing in the clinical studies is why we're picking them. Right? They come to us and look at the clinical studies, look at the biomarkers we're moving, and then it just helps us go to market quicker and giving you who's listening more confidence at what you can expect when you're taking any particular formula within our portfolio.
And can you explain, because you've been in the industry for so long, so I'm sure you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the dirty, that versus a lot of people, there's so many wellness influencers online hawking goods in your face. I mean, the amount like that for us, we really try to sift through the noise. That is like our intention. Can you explain the difference between someone that is promoting something and it's called white labeling, where they're not producing it, it's coming from a manufacturer, they're putting a label on it and they're selling it, the quality of something like that compared to a patented ingredient?
Yeah, I think now we have to be our own decision maker. We have to see through companies that are creating themselves for a profit. Well, I mean, profit is good, but to a certain extent, are they in it for the money or are they
It's
in it for a
marketing.
bigger cause? And you'll see right through those people that are just using a lot of buzzwords and a lot of marketing. Well, you go to the site and it takes you 30 minutes to actually see what is in this product, right? It's all this noise. That's always a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Uh, but you can just see who's in it for the right intention. When we formulate, we don't formulate on the price, we formulate on the outcome. How can we create something that's going to help the widest audience? Then we work backwards and say, well, how do we make this more affordable for the average person to feature this even short term in their wellness journey? So I think it just goes by the vibe, right? The people that are behind the organization, what do they stand for? Is it just one unique formula and then a lot of fluff, or is every formula kind of have that vibe, that energy, that they have the right intention, that they can play a positive role in your life, in your wellness?
I love that. It's such a good answer. Um, it's actually kind of like perfect how we, for health longevity, there's so many different things. And for women, it's like, okay, like this sounds interesting. You sound lovely, Michael. We love your intention behind it. Like, where do I start? Like, what would be a good place for a woman to start?
We get asked this a lot, and I would say the right answer would be kind of what's most important to you today. I think where a lot of people fall down or stop is because they try to take on too much too soon. I like to think of, as of this moment, what are the top 3 health goals that are most important to you today? We're not going to cure this overnight, but I think if we identify and create a simple plan, where we're not going to tackle the top 10 list, but top 2 or 3 things. It could be, I got to stop the brain fog. I am so fatigued, I can't even go to the gym, or, you know, I can't even, I'm not being the best parent to my kids because I'm always tired. So that might be very high up. Or when we think about, I'm not feeling great. I don't like the way I look in clothes, and it affects your confidence, affects your aura. So maybe metabolic dysfunction could be one we want to tackle. Yeah, there's all these big things, gut health. We talk about bloating, stomach issues. That's another big area. So there's all these pockets, and I know
Yeah.
you probably wanted me to give you like,
No, I think that's a
here's the
beautiful
3.
answer, and I think that that's a real answer. I first actually discovered you for your BPC 157, and it was one to help my son, because I'm comfortable testing out peptides, and also I was helping out my father who had a sports injury, and then I actually had my knee was bothering me, and so then I took it. I was like, "Let's see if this actually works and does anything," because sometimes when you're fixing your gut from the inside out, you can't always feel it if you don't necessarily have symptoms, even though most women don't know that your entire gut microbiome shifts in midlife, which is crazy. So we almost should maybe even just take BPC just as a preventative kind of little boost. But I took BPC when my knee was hurting. I do a lot of wake surfing in Miami with my friends, and it really made a difference. I was like, oh, wow, this works. There's a shift. And BPC was sort of my entry into the peptide space, because of all the amazing benefits it does for the gut health. and then learning and figuring out, okay, there's so much BPC on the market. Like, who's got a product that I can feel comfortable that someone's going to stand behind in terms of like caring about the quality of it? Because that's a whole other thing, is quality of these peptides and these ingredients, because that's also a little bit of a gray market that's kind of going on right now. Um,
Yeah.
Yep, I love that. I love that somebody should think of what is my like top 1 or 2 problem that I need to solve for. And I know your product line is extensive. Like, something will be there, because I have clients now, like their number 1 is brain fog. Like, the brain is driving them crazy. What do you have for the brain? Because I think for women that is a huge one, that's usually one of the first things that we kind of start to notice.
I was going to say, if you wanted me to throw something out there to just help those listening to think about some things, brain health and gut health, two places you really can't go wrong starting. Everything's tied into the gut. We all have some level of gut dysfunction. So we have some really amazing formulas there, but getting to the brain, two incredible formulas hitting on different spectrums. So we have brain boosts to support energy, mental energy, focus, motivation, and reduction of brain fog. And I'm happy to dive into that. And the other spectrum is serenity, and that's going to be anxiety, stress, and then those at night that are stressed, wired, and tired, where you're laying in
Yes, I
bed,
have a
your
lot of
mind's
clients.
racing, and you can't even start the sleep cycle. So we have two formulas that are designed to work on the very first dose that have become favorites to a lot of people because of how immediate and effective they are.
Now, what about for cycling these things? Because a lot of times with, certain peptides, especially even like a BPC, they'll say 5 days on, 2 days off. I know for the Ignite, I think you were saying at least like 2 or 3 months. Like, should you take a break to let your body? Because a lot of these peptides are meant to sort of like give you that boost, and then your body should take over. Like, how should we think about cycling these kind of things?
Yeah, I would say for some, it really depends. If you're under a healthcare provider's care, they're going to help make those decisions based on the lab work, based on health history. But if you're just listening, these can be used long term. I just want to say that. But when we think about all the things happening, complications, health goals, things are evolving, like, oh, I'm feeling better now, I'm working out more. Maybe 90 days from now, your health goals will evolve and change
Yeah.
because you might have checked or crossed some things off your list. So these can be pulsed in and out. Things like Brain Boost and Serenity could also be used as needed. They don't have to be used every day. Some of the peptides like BPC can be used 30 to 90 days and then reassess, where things like the anabolic peptides or the satiety peptides can be used longer term.
Okay.
So again, these I know it's not the answer. It wasn't a clear cut, but every
No, but
product is
that's
so
helpful for
different.
people to think about. Like, for me, even just with the Ignite, I took it for a month.
Yeah.
I just took probably a 2 or 3 week break because I just forgot to reorder it, and then I'll take it again. And it's funny, I actually feel it's almost like I'm like, I didn't even think I like lost some weight, but someone just said, they're like, "Oh, you look like I think I from travel or what or that." Like, I definitely lost like that bloating for sure. And
Hmm.
it's almost like it happened even more once I stopped. So it sort of like gave me that boost 100%. And then it kind of like just kept going, I guess. Like, I don't even know. I mean, I'm like experimenting on myself just to see it, but like it definitely did something. And then I'm excited to test again when I get back on it to see how my ketones will jump up, which is always a good thing.
Absolutely.
I think this has been so insightful, and thank you so much for all of your wisdom. I always like to close out our conversations by asking our guests, what is one drop of wellness wisdom you like to share with our listeners today?
Oh wow.
It's
I
a
don't know.
tough one.
It's not going to be wisdom. I'm sure your audience knows about it, but the power of exercise. It's one of the most affordable things we can do for our health, and it has the biggest difference. So and exercise can mean different things to different people. So if you're just a couch potato, you're not moving, just go for a walk a few times a day. But I think it's just upgrading where you are up a level. It's going to make huge differences. So exercise and eating right, all the stuff that we have in our portfolio, they are what they are. There's supplements to support better lifestyle decisions.
Yeah, I like that. I agree. Thank you so much for being with us on the Well Drop. You can subscribe, like, and share with a friend who needs to hear this too. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me.